Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor was teaching and performing research at Harvard Medical School. As a neuroanatomist, her entire career was dedicated to mapping the physical wiring of the human brain. Then, a blood vessel burst in the left hemisphere of her brain. A hemorrhage is a high-pressure explosion of blood flooding the delicate tissue, and blood is highly toxic to cellular communication. Within hours, the cells responsible for processing language and mathematics were drowning. She picked up her phone to call for help, but the concept of the numbers 911 had physically vanished from her reality. To reach her office, she had to set her business card next to the phone pad and painstakingly match the squiggles on the paper to the shapes on the buttons. As the blood pooled in her left hemisphere, her ability to calculate, read, and speak disappeared. But a strange paradox emerged alongside the damage. Her anxiety, her past trauma, and her entire sense of individual ego were erased along with the cells that house them. The left hemisphere contains our ego center. It is the specific biological territory that defines where we begin and end, processes fear-based boundaries, and obsessively maintains the perspective of the individual. This analytical, stress-driven tissue accounts for roughly a quarter of our total brain architecture. Yet we live our daily lives acting as if it is the only conscious part of our mind that matters. Modern society heavily prioritizes these specific cells. We are graded, hired, and evaluated based on our ability to organize data, analyze threats, and assert control over our environment, functions that reside almost exclusively in the left brain. By relying so heavily on this single quadrant for daily survival, we effectively bypass the other 75% of our neural architecture. Our chronic state of anxiety is the physical result of forcing our biological hardware to prioritize one stress-prone circuit over all others. We can map the life of an emotion as a physiological sequence. It begins the moment a thought triggers a specific chemical flush that moves through the body in response to an external stimulus. This chart maps the biological lifespan of a chemical rush, from the trigger, chemical spike, and neutralize within 90 seconds. Look at this second overlapping line. If an emotion lasts longer, the left brain is rethinking the thought, pumping fresh chemicals into the system. Every time you replay an argument in your head or fixate on a past wrong, you are manually re-stimulating a brief biological defense mechanism and turning it into a chronic state of physical misery. We are biologically wired to process fleeting emotions in a minute and a half. Culturally, we have been trained to trap ourselves in lifelong grudges by re-triggering this 90-second loop. The sheer waste of this energy is evident when we look at the macro data of our existence. Each human body is a conglomeration of 50 trillion molecular geniuses, a massive cellular network that maintains our consciousness in every instant. This biological masterwork begins with a single cell, multiplying at a rate of 250,000 new cells every single second. This flawless engineering is often hijacked by trivial anxieties. The left hemisphere's limbic system hoards our energy by obsessing over ego-driven concerns, me and mine, that pale in comparison to the complexity of the cell supporting them. Today, corporate algorithms and digital structures are explicitly designed to target this specific limbic tissue, keeping us in a state of craving and social disconnection to ensure we stay plugged into their systems. We are currently using a perfectly engineered biological miracle to host socially programmed left brain anxieties. The self-help industry often promises that we can permanently delete our emotional reactivity or fix the parts of our brain that feel broken. Anatomically, this is impossible. You cannot use the analytical left brain architecture to dismantle trauma that is actively stored within that same architecture. One part of the loop cannot erase the other. Trauma is raw biological data. It is an evolutionary mechanism designed to keep the organism safe from repeated harm by ensuring we remember exactly what a threat looks and feels like. When we react emotionally to a perceived threat, the system isn't broken. It is performing the exact protective function it was engineered for. A systemic override requires shifting neural activation away from the left hemisphere and into the right. By anchoring the mind strictly to present moment physical sensations, like the weight of your body or the temperature of the air, you instantly sever the left brain's analytical narrative loop. In this right brain state, the left brain is no longer feeding the loop new data. This allows the 90-second chemical surges to expire naturally and clear from the body. Executing this biological override allows us to bypass the noise of the left brain narrative. We finally reclaim the remaining 75% of our humanity, the parts built for curiosity, connection, and peace.